The Galactic Academy of Higher Learning was silent, the kind of silence that pressed against the ears and made every small sound feel like thunder. 3,000 students sat in the massive examination hall. Their bodies came in all shapes and sizes. Some had scales that shimmered under the artificial light. Others had fur that ranged from deep black to brilliant gold. A few floated slightly above their seats because their species did not believe in touching surfaces they did not need to touch. In the middle of this ocean of alien students sat one human girl named Elena Chen. She was 22 years old. She had dark hair pulled back in a tight bun. Her brown eyes moved quickly across the examination tablet in front of her. She was the only human in the entire academy. The first human to ever be accepted into this prestigious institution that trained the future leaders of the Galactic Council. Elena's heart was beating fast. This examination would determine whether she could continue her studies or return to Earth in shame. The questions were difficult. They covered advanced diplomatic theory, multi-species conflict resolution, and the complex history of 17 different civilizations. She had studied for months. She had barely slept for weeks. Everything depended on this moment. Her writing stylus moved across the tablet screen. In this age of advanced technology, the Academy still believed in handwritten examinations. They said it revealed more about a student's true understanding. The stylus was special. It was designed to work only with her specific biometric signature. If she lost it, she could not complete the exam. 30 minutes passed. Elena was making good progress. She felt a small spark of hope growing in her chest. Maybe she could actually do this. Maybe she could prove that humans deserved their place among the stars. Then disaster struck. Her hand cramped suddenly. It was the kind of cramp that comes from too much writing and too little rest. The pain shot through her fingers like electricity. Her grip failed. The stylus slipped from her hand. It bounced once on the edge of her desk. Then it rolled off and fell to the floor with a soft click that somehow echoed through the silent hall. Elena's blood turned to ice. She could not move from her seat during the examination. That was the rule. If she reached down to pick up the stylus, she would be automatically failed. The sensors in the floor would detect her movement. The examination proctors, tall beings with 6 eyes each, would escort her out immediately. She sat frozen. Her mind raced through her options and found nothing. The stylus had rolled almost a meter away from her foot. There was no way she could reach it without standing up. Panic began to build in her chest. All her work, all her sacrifice, all the hope of her entire species resting on her shoulders, and she had dropped her pen like a clumsy child. Tears began to form in her eyes. She fought them back. She would not cry. Not here. Not in front of everyone. But the despair was overwhelming. She had failed before she even had a chance to finish. Then she felt something soft brush against her leg. Elena looked down slowly, afraid of what she might see. What she saw made her breath catch in her throat. A small creature was there. It was a Varaxian cub, no bigger than a house cat from Earth. Its fur was a soft blue color. Its large golden eyes looked up at her with an expression of pure innocence. In its tiny mouth, held carefully between teeth that were not yet sharp, was her stylus. The cub placed the stylus gently on her foot. Then it sat down next to her chair. It did not make a sound. It simply stayed there, its warm little body pressed against her ankle. Elena picked up the stylus with trembling hands. She looked around the hall. The examination proctors had seen everything. They were watching. But they did not move. They did not call out a violation, because the rules said students could not move from their seats. The rules said nothing about what others might do. As Elena's eyes swept across the room, she noticed something else. Another small shape was moving through the rows of desks. Then another, and another. More cubs were coming. Varaxian cubs, Threlix pups, even the floating young of the Etherian species. They moved between the desks like ghosts. They made no sound at all, and one by one they gathered around Elena's chair. Within minutes, she was surrounded by at least 20 young aliens. They sat in a circle around her, their small bodies creating a protective ring. Some pressed against her legs. Others simply sat nearby, watching her with eyes that held no judgment, only warmth. Elena did not understand. She had never interacted with any of these cubs before. The academy kept the young ones separate from the students most of the time. They were the children of professors and staff. Too young for formal education, but allowed to roam the halls during certain hours. She had seen them from a distance sometimes, but she had never spoken to any of them. Why were they here? Why had they come to help her? One of the proctors approached. Elena braced herself for punishment, but the proctor, a massive being covered in silver scales, simply looked at the gathering of cubs with an expression that might have been wonder. "Continue your examination, human Chen," the proctor said quietly. "The young ones have chosen to sit with you. This is their right by ancient tradition. They may sit where they wish." Elena nodded. She could not speak. Her throat was too tight with emotion. She turned back to her tablet and continued writing, but her mind kept wandering to the small creatures around her. She could feel their warmth through her clothing. She could hear their soft breathing. They had saved her. They had crossed the entire hall to return her stylus when she needed it most. And now they were staying with her, offering their silent support. The hours passed. Elena wrote and wrote. The examination was still difficult, but something had changed inside her. The panic was gone. In its place was a calm strength. She was not alone. These small beings had reminded her of that. When the examination finally ended, a tone sounded through the hall. Students began to stand and stretch their tired bodies, but Elena did not move immediately. She was looking at the cubs around her. "Why?" she whispered to them. "Why did you help me?" One of the Varaxian cubs, the one who had retrieved her stylus, tilted its head. Then it spoke. Its voice was small and high, but clear. "You smile at us," it said simply. "Every time you see us in the hallways, you smile and wave. You are the only big person who does that. You see us. You make us feel real." Elena felt the tears she had been holding back finally fall down her cheeks. She had smiled at them. She had waved at them when she passed them in the corridors. It had been such a small thing. She had done it without thinking, just as she would have done with any child on Earth. She had not realized anyone had noticed. "In our cultures," another cub added, this one with green fur and 3 eyes, "to be seen by an adult is to be valued. To be smiled at is to be loved. You have loved us without knowing us. We wanted to help you because you helped us first." Elena sank to her knees. The cubs immediately climbed onto her lap and shoulders. They nuzzled against her face. Their small paws patted her hair. She laughed and cried at the same time, overwhelmed by the sweetness of the moment. The other students in the hall had stopped to watch. Many of them had never paid attention to the human before. She was just one student among thousands, and a strange one at that. Humans were new to the galactic community. They were seen as primitive, emotional, and unpredictable. Many species kept their distance from them, but now those same species were witnessing something that confused them. Their own young, the cubs and pups they protected so fiercely, had chosen to bond with this human. Children of different species did not usually mix. They certainly did not gather together to help strangers. Yet here they were, united around one small human woman who had done nothing more than smile at them. The Academy's chancellor, a being so old that nobody remembered what species it originally belonged to, floated down from its observation platform. It looked at Elena and the cubs with ancient eyes that had seen civilizations rise and fall. "Human," the chancellor said, "do you understand what has happened here today?" Elena shook her head. She was still holding several cubs in her arms. Our young are taught to observe the adults around them, the Chancellor explained. They watch to learn which beings are safe and which are dangerous. They judge character not by words or actions in formal settings, but by the small moments when beings think nobody is watching. How someone treats a child when there is no benefit to be gained reveals their true nature. The Chancellor paused. Its many eyes blinked slowly. You have been watched, human Chen. For months, our young have observed you. They have seen you stop in the hallways to let them pass. They have seen you pick up dropped toys and return them without waiting for thanks. They have seen you speak gently to those who were crying and share your food with those who looked hungry. You did not know you were being tested, but you were. Elena felt a shiver run down her spine. I was not trying to pass any test. I was just being myself. Exactly, the Chancellor said. And that is why you passed. Many species in this academy have come to doubt humans. They say your kind is too young, too aggressive, too unpredictable to be trusted with the responsibilities of galactic citizenship. But our children have seen something different. They have seen kindness without agenda. They have seen warmth without calculation. They have seen a being who treats the powerless with the same respect she would show the powerful. The Chancellor turned to address the entire hall. Its voice rose so that all could hear. Let this day be recorded in the Academy archives. The human Elena Chen has been judged by the purest judges we have. Our children have found her worthy. From this day forward, she carries their endorsement, which cannot be bought or faked or manipulated. It is the endorsement of innocent hearts. The cubs around Elena began to make sounds. At first, it seemed like random noise. Then Elena realized they were singing. It was a simple melody, repeated over and over. Different species, different voices, but all singing together in perfect harmony. Other students began to bow their heads in respect. This was something ancient, something sacred. The young of their species were singing the song of acceptance. It was a tradition older than the Academy itself. Once given, it could never be taken back. Elena held the cubs closer. She did not know what the future would bring. She did not know if she had passed her examination or what challenges still lay ahead. But she knew one thing with absolute certainty. She was no longer alone among the stars. She had been found by those who could see the truth of her heart, and they had claimed her as their own. When she finally left the examination hall that evening, the cubs walked with her. They would continue to walk with her in the days and weeks and years that followed. They would grow up, and she would grow old, but the bond formed on that quiet afternoon would remain unbroken. And whenever other species questioned whether humans truly belonged in the galactic community, the former cubs would tell this story. They would tell of the day they chose a human, and the human had chosen them right back, without conditions or hesitation. It became the first human legend among the stars, not a story of war or conquest or technological achievement, but a story of a dropped pen, a small act of kindness, and the power of simply seeing others as they wished to be seen.